Well, how's it going today, folks? I'm Braap and welcome back to the Braap Shack. Today we're going to take a look at this 1999 Ski-Doo Mini Z120. I picked this machine up, I believe, last year for my daughters. When I picked it up, the engine was full of water, top end and bottom end. Uh, there was no air cleaner on it. The carburetor was full of water. It was in a bit of a swamp and just in terrible shape. So I brought it back here. I tried to revive the engine, took it apart, gave it a good cleaning. It was really bad. And it holds a steady 4 psi of compression. So she's fucked. But we have a solution for that. So let's take a peek. Here she is. Well, it looks huge because once again, I'm still on this Kodak camera and this is as far out as she fucking zooms. Yeah, as far out as she goes. It's not as big as it looks. It's a tiny little Ski-Doo. It's sitting on fucking milk crates right now, just so that I'm not sitting on the floor. But there she is. Honda GX 120. Yeah, I tried to save her, but like I said, air cleaner was laying down there in the belly somewhere. Spark plug was out, full of water. Crank was full of water. I took her right apart. I had this little motor out and took it apart and did the best I could. The cylinder doesn't actually come off of the crankcase, so you know, this motor could probably be rebuilt and saved. I don't know, but over here we have a Mighty Mini clutch. We have a Mighty Mini hole shot governor delete. And this that there is a Honda GX 160, so it's a little bigger. GX 160 long block. We need to first yard this little bastard out of there. Now, when I took this engine out of here the first time, I was quite surprised at how shoehorned in there it is. And you got, that's your oil drain, goes through. You got crank sticking through this one. Steering post is in the way. You can't even take off the air cleaner. I've found this really weird. I don't know if maybe these machines came with different air cleaners on them, and this is just the GX 120 air cleaner. But you can't take this air cleaner off without pulling the motor. It's right underneath this bastard. Obviously the air filter is this tall, so you gotta lift it up. Ain't happening. Maybe you could like loosen all the motor mounts and tilt it, or I don't know, something, but you cannot take that air cleaner cover off with this motor in the machine. So that is something I'm actually going to address while we're doing this. When I have the motor out, I'm going to probably modify this brace so that the air cleaner can come out, and also the steering stem's a bit in the way, but I want to raise that up a little bit anyway, you know, so it's not laid back so much. So I'm going to make or find a spacer that goes right here, about say 1.5 inches maybe, and so that'll lift this up enough, and then we'll have to, you know, make that a little swoopier. But yeah, so I suppose first thing we'll get the steering post out of the way. Stab it on. Oh. Ah, there we go. Well, there's a new one. There's the old one. So this right here is actually a brand new carb. When I was gonna try and fix this engine, I ordered a new carb, an air cleaner, an air filter, and that stuff. And then I realized that this thing had, like I said, I think it was holding 4 psi compression after. So at that point, we just threw a carb on it, see what would happen, see if it would flash life. So we got new carb. This engine comes with, it's just a long block, so I got to take the recoil assembly and the flywheel off of here, all the throttle assembly, ignition coil, all that needs to go over to here. Need to take that drain tube that I was just playing with right there, put it on this side, right down there. But no problem. That's gonna be it for now. I'll flip this camera back on. You know, I got a couple little pieces down in this box of goodies that I want to paint, along with the exhaust. Got to get painted, so I also want to clean all this out. I don't think it's really worth making a video just cleaning that crap out. But when it's time to start moving stuff on the engine, I'll flip this camera back on. So we got a few things we need to pull off of this motor. These are 10mm, 10mm, 10mm all over the damn place. Alrighty, she's stripped right down. That's about all. That's about all we're gonna take out of this one, and yeah, I think that's about all we gotta take off of this one. We'll have to pull this, but I'll pull that after. And like I said, I got some parts to clean and paint, so I'll flip this back on when the time comes. Here's a little update on this. I've gone through, I gave her a good old cleaning, you know, inside and out. Took off drag link and tie rod, and put some nice white lithium grease up inside of the joints. I tightened up the ski bolts to get rid of steering play. Like I said, cleaned the whole fucking thing, gave it a good cleaning. Nice and clean. I took the old wrap off of the wiring harness because it was brittle and falling apart, and I re-loomed it from one end to the other. The seat has a really weird mount for the front. Mounts from underneath, and there is 0% chance of getting up underneath there to put a screw back in, so I put a couple little brackets on the seat itself so it's nice and secure. New little tail light put on there. But yeah, pretty much just cleaned everything real good. Nice, and got all the shit out of there that you've probably seen, and so she's nice and clean. The parts that needed to be painted, all the engine covers, I just gave the throttle a quick squirt. Don't worry, it still moves. Cleaned up the hardware that's got to be reused. There's some more engine covers under there. A lot of this didn't need to be done in high temp paint. Pretty much just the exhaust did, and the outside of the brake band, which I don't even think that needed to be done, but I did it anyway. But I did all the rest of this stuff in high temperature paint too, just so it matched up perfectly, you know. So there wasn't a bunch of different colors under there. Forgot all about this tape. Anyway, that's all painted up. I have to put the recoil back together. She flung apart when it broke. Got to throw all the shit on the engine. There's the exhaust and the brake. So yeah, everything's pretty much ready to go back together. I don't want these videos on this machine being an hour long, so we're gonna call it for this one. The next video will be assembling all the shit onto the engine, dropping it in there, and we'll give it a quick little test, make sure it's all good, and I'll get my girls riding it before the end of the season. So hopefully that'll be here in the next week or so. So that's gonna be it for this video. Till next time, have a gooder, folks.